Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we talk to individuals, businesses, and organizations who are taking the lead and whose actions are impacting the well-being of their communities and the world at large.
Welcome back to Money with Mission. Today we have Dr. Tom Burns, a friend of mine. Tom is an entrepreneur and has been an orthopedic surgeon in Austin, Texas. He is currently a physician for the United States Ski Team and travels worldwide with them. He has over 25 years of real estate experience involving acquisition, development, and management. He, in addition to co-founding and managing a freestanding full-service hospital, he has owned and developed property locally and internationally, has participated in the acquisition and development of over $400 million of real estate. Tom is the principal of Presario Ventures, a private equity real estate company in Austin, Texas. He is listed in the acknowledgement section of Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and is the author of Why Doctors Don't Get Rich, a personal finance guide for doctors and other professionals. He is a sought-after speaker and is frequently featured in nationally circulated print articles and popular real estate-oriented podcasts. Tom is financially independent, has been financially independent for a decade. His mission is to help other professionals and physicians create financial independence so, like him, they can enjoy medicine with the passion that first drew them to the profession. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Felicia. Glad to be here.
I'm going to confess, you guys, that this is our second interview because the first time I forgot to record it and it was so good. Tom fortunately has enough time to do it again. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it and I apologize.
No worries.
Okay, so we are talking about a lot about your book. You bought the first copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is now which is an international bestseller.
Right.
You bought it at a car wash in Austin.
Yep.
And you were already an orthopedic surgeon. What was happening in your world at that time that made you even see that book?
Sure. So I had already figured back since training, I had figured that I didn't really want some of the doctors' lives that I had watched train me. They were busy, unhappy, maybe on their third marriages. And I figured there ought to be something else. And I'd never had any financial training. So I was always looking for something extra from the time I was training as a doctor. That involved a lot of books, some seminars, things like that. And so I was reading a lot of books at the time. And this was probably half a dozen years after I'd already started doing that. I was reading a lot of books. Family was out of town. I happened to go get my truck washed. Went into a car wash and there was a shelf on the back that had a ramshackle bunch of books laid there and a hand-painted sign that said books for sale. Had a funny title and some flashy colors, said rich, something about rich. And then the subtitle said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class don't. Thought that was a little bit of an arrogant subtitle. So I thought, I'd like to see what this guy has to say. So I read the book. I went home. I wasn't going to read the book for days to weeks, but I flipped open, looked at a little page and kind of liked what I was reading. This was 11:30 at night. Read a few more pages, realized I was kind of liking this. So I sat down to read a chapter or two, and 4 hours later, I finished the book. Best book on personal finance I had ever read in my life, and gave it to some friends. We called the publisher. Well, the publisher actually turned out to be Robert Kiyosaki. It was a self-published book. Visited him in Scottsdale, Arizona. He taught us how to play his game Cash Flow, gave us a bunch of extra books to hand out to our friends. And that kind of started a good 24-year friendship with Robert. Turns out that he had only printed 1,000 books. He sent 24 to this car wash and had not sold a single book until I bought that one that day.
That was the start of how many years that book has been on the bestseller list, huh?
Oh, it's still on, but in Europe, it's still on top 10 lists 24 years later.
That's amazing. I think I read the book. You said you read it in 97. I think I read it in 2000, 2001. So it's a little bit behind you. But it also changed my life. And I think we met at a real estate meeting. And I think at that meeting, there were 2 or 3 other doctors, and we go to a lot. That's how we've stayed in touch.
Right.
And there's never very many doctors there. There may be some engineers. There's always a few thrown in professional people, but never a lot. Most of us are out doing our thing.
Right.
And what you discovered, one of the things I was reading in your book was how 26 years later, after you bought the book, you were in Costa Rica and you were reflecting back on your year before, of all the travel you had done. You had been in Africa, you had been in Antarctica, I can't even remember all the Mexico, you'd been in so many different places. And you realized that it was the income you had made investing that allowed you to do that.
Right.
Talk about that. Talk about the passive income.
So passive income sounds like such a buzzword. Somebody even asked me today, do you want to use that term? But it's in my mind, it's magic. It's a holy grail for freedom and control. And what I mean by that is a lot of professionals work, they perform a task or do something and they get paid for it. Maybe they get paid a high rate, but if you want to get paid again, you've got to perform a task again. Passive income is income that comes into you with little to none of your effort. There's effort on the front end, but when you've got money that's coming in every month, whether you sleep, vacation, work, or play with your kids, that starts to create a little bit of freedom. With that money, you can start eliminating some things in your working life that are either unpleasant or take up time that maybe takes away from your family. Maybe you can spend a little more time with your kids, a little more time with your spouse, travel to that place you weren't able to go to before. So I equate passive income with freedom and control, which gives us choice in our lives, and we can live an abundant life.
Freedom, control, options, all the things that we thought going to medical school or going through whatever professional school you went to, you would have, because you would have money from that thing. Quickly, we realized that just what you said, if I don't keep doing this thing, I don't have money. And we dig ourselves into a hole, many of us, with our nice things that you now have to keep doing your tasks or you can't pay for them, right?
Right.
When you bought the book, were you already investing? You said you had been reading for a while. Were you already doing investing at that time?
I probably had maybe one or two very small investments. My plan at the time was literally to pay off some things, some student debt. I must admit my student debt was much lower than what people have now. Paid off my student debt, made sure that there was a good base because I didn't want my attention deficit and risk taking to affect my family. So I made sure there was a good buffer before I started really going for it. So probably pretty much a newbie at that time.
Okay, got it. And we talk about how doctors think to start out with. And I think we kind of cover that as we think that when we finish our residency, we finish our program, we come out wanting to do well in the world, and not well by making money, but that is a part of it. We want to help people and contribute. And it turns out, it seems like that a lot of that gets eaten up, that wanting to do well for people gets eaten up by the system that we're in. Was that your experience?
That is what I found through, after all, I was in a little bit of a bubble. My life was awesome because I had passive income. And so as I did the research, there are a lot of unhappy folks. They're not in control. They're told to see more people for less time, less pay, that sort of thing. And so while many might still have the money and some don't, nobody's ever going to feel sorry for doctors. But still, some have less, some have more, but we don't have time. And time is so precious, we can't get it back. No man is rich.
The only thing we don't get back. That's right.
So that's what's eating it. It's making a lot of professionals feel somewhat trapped in that they built this lifestyle, and boy, if they don't keep the gerbil wheel going, lifestyle is going to come crumbling down.
Yeah. And back to passive income. Once you've made that investment, once you've changed your mindset that it is not just doing things that brings you money, you can do something and keep getting money after that.
Right.
And I think a lot of us think about intellectual property, and a lot of professionals think about inventing something and that kind of thing, where you can invent passive income in so many different ways. Tom has chosen real estate and has made quite a bit. We talk about you founded a full service hospital.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I don't recommend that. So I built a medical center. So we had a 150,000 square foot medical center, and we had elected to put a surgery center in there to make it a full service complex. It was rather large, and that somehow morphed into a hospital. And so we did the whole thing. We built a full 23-bed hospital. I went out and brought in doctors to be doctor owners, and we were lucky enough to go right through the Affordable Care Act on March 23rd, 2010. So it was a portion of my life that built actually a very nice hospital. It's well respected now. We have since sold off the operating business. I still own the building and the dirt underneath them. But that was our mission, was basically to create something that was more efficient than what we already had. And it's a tough system, but all the other hospitals, they weren't efficient at all. We were much more efficient, won some awards, and it was a project. It was a good way to give back.
So I hope you guys heard that. I sold off the business, but still own the building and the dirt under it. I'm assuming they pay you rent for that building and that dirt under it.
Oh yeah, they pay a lot of rent.
So passive incomes.
Right.
This is something that all professionals can do. You can own the building where you have to work, right?
Right.
And then once you're tired of doing that business, sell your business, keep your real estate. You're on your way right there.
You can invest money, time, or your intellect to create passive income. It's not always money. Money helps, but there are a lot of ways to create income.
Yeah. Money with Mission is a real estate and business investment company that specializes in finding projects that have the potential to give you a great return on your investment dollar and make an impact in the communities where we invest. Make a difference in your life and the lives of others. Go to moneywithmission.com to learn more. You do syndications, correct?
Correct.
And syndications are where you, like you said, with the doctors, you bring a bunch of doctors together, a bunch of people together who invest their money. Any kind of people have money, put money together. You
Right.
manage a project, or you manage the managers who are managing the project.
So we, in fact, I'll be real transparent. For many years, I actually didn't take any of my projects to my doctor colleagues, but we've got investors that have been with us for 20 years. So we develop ground up projects. And so we're the developer manager. And so we manage the asset and manage the investors and provide them a return. That's our job, is to provide investors with a return.
So Tom, why didn't you take it to our doctor colleagues?
I just kept it separate for the time. I didn't want to cross the two. If somebody asked, I would tell them about stuff. And then I'd sometimes get, well, I don't need to do that. I can just take call. I can make just how much money taking call, but they didn't understand the passive nature. So now it's a way for myself and many of the other thousands of other people that put deals together. It's a fabulous way for professionals to leverage somebody else. If you make discretionary income and you want something to come in passive, you can give it to somebody else who will do all the work and provide you with a return. And in return, they'll get a little piece of that for their work. It's a great win-win combination for people to use.
I love it. You use the word leverage. And leverage is used in a lot of different ways. We leverage our tools when we're doing whatever we're doing to help us get our job done. In this way, you use leverage. When I think about leverage these days, I think about money, but we also leverage other people's time to help us create what we want to get our passive income. I could leverage your time and let you figure out the deal and do all that, invest my money with you, and make money on the other side.
Absolutely. You're leveraging somebody else's time, their knowledge, their experience, their network, even their balance sheet. So it's a good trade-off. It's a really nice trade-off. That way, somebody that's a busy professional can stay doing what they do and what they do best and start bringing in passive income. Then they can adjust what they're doing best to where they really like it. And the scales just do that. That's what happened in my life. I just started lowering the things I didn't like, and the money kept coming up, and it was fun.
Yeah, that's key. Because even as, like we talk about that, we go into medicine. I picked urology because I really like urology, but there are things in urology that I just don't like. And so with passive income, I can decide, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not going to do that part. And so it's a key to keeping yourself in a business that you enjoy, doing the things about the business that you do enjoy by having that passive income.
Right. Because most doctors, we get into it because we like it. We know there's going to be a reasonable financial reward. A good example is at one point in time, I decided I didn't want to take call. And for those listening, call is when you stay up all night and answer phone calls from people that have emergencies. That's not really fun. It's not good for the family life. I told the hospital, I'm not taking call anymore. And they said, well, if you don't take call here, you can't have staff privileges. So I just said goodbye because I had a passive income that didn't require me to work there.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's key. It's key. Choices, options. That's passive income gives you options.
It just does.
One of the things you talked about was that when you first bought the book, you went and met Robert and you learned to play his game, Cash Flow 101. Right. And we talk about simulation and how when we first start doing surgeries or you start your accounting practice or whatever practice you're doing, you learn on a thing.
Right.
How did that game help you with your investing?
It is a simulation. We remember and absorb 70% of a simulation, 90% of what we really do. So that simulation helps you understand a true balance sheet and income statement. It's not a simple game to play. And so it is a great way to learn. I had my adult son who is still working on his financial knowledge, and it helped teach him. So it is a great fun way. We learn with games. We love games. It's a simulation. It's a really easy way to understand an income statement and balance sheet. And you can take that into real estate or business. You got to understand those things if you're going to understand what you're doing, creating passive income.
100%. We started playing that game with our girls in the third and fifth grade, and we didn't take the kids game. We took the adult game. Nice. We learned while we were teaching them, and it was so much fun. Both of my girls are now living in Los Angeles. Neither one of them has a W-2 income. Neither one is in my pocket. That's what the game taught them, is they actually learned they didn't want a job. They just didn't. They figured out how to make make money.
That may be the biggest benefit of the cash flow game. You got your kids out of the house and out of your pocket. Wish I'd have gotten mine playing it earlier.
It's so good. So Tom, with your companies and with your things you're doing, what are your charities? What are the things you're doing? What social impact projects do you have?
So in my company-wise, we do build some low-income housing, some affordable housing, I would say. Granted, we make a profit, but we partner with the cities and the municipalities, and we actually came up with one of the structures in 2009 for this. So
nice.
We won an award for that. So we do that. We make plenty of profit on that. I also spend a lot of time in Africa, and water's an issue there. So I give my money and soon my time there. I've got a friend in Ethiopia, and we're going to go over and do some stuff there.
Nice. So social impact investing is big. That's what Money with Mission is about, is knowing. I want people to know you can invest for impact, social impact, and have a return on your investment. So there's nothing wrong with having both of those things at the same time. Or you can do like some of what Tom does. He makes his passive income and then spends his time, because he has time based on the money that he's got coming in, to do some things and help people get fresh water. My big thing is food. I want people to have good, healthy food. Both of these things are health for us. So I really like it. Tom, thank you so much for staying. I appreciate it. I think I got this recorded this time. You have something for our listeners.
You bet I do. So, maybe we do a third one. Anyway, yeah. So I wrote the book, got a lot of questions, and obviously it was published. So I've written a bonus chapter for the book, and it's called 7 Steps to Creating Wealth on a Busy Schedule. Everybody says, how'd you do that? It wasn't magic. It was just leverage, as we talked about before. And so I run through a lot of things that can help. And so it's free to y'all. Anybody that wants it, I'm sure you'll tell them how they could get it.
Awesome. Thank you. You guys go to Tom Burns at moneywithmission.com, and you will be able to get that chapter of his book there. You guys, the book is amazing. So whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, and whatever you do in life, this book can help you get your mind around being an investor and having passive income and options in your life. It's really important. Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can make a great return while positively impacting the lives of others. To learn more about today's guest or to download 7 steps to building resilient wealth for women, visit www.moneywithmission.com.
I hope you enjoyed the interview and are inspired to give your money a mission. Until next time, send your investment dollars into the world to bring you a financial return and improve the lives of others.